Sympathy, a TwiLuna story by Giant Neckbeard. Chapter 5. No, no, no. Luna was correct in her choice. The amber swirls and the golden hooves had bickered and squabbled their way up every level of the courts. Just because they did not get the desired outcome does not mean that we will allow them to waste any more of the court's time on this juvenile argument. Princess Celestia told the cluster of courtiers, centuries of practice keeping her smiling as the Sawyer Princess crushed the urge to smack several of the more Sarnarchic ones, and their sly condensations of Luna's short rule turned to gushing praise. Oh, my Frost, I almost long for the barbarity of the old days. At least then I could get away with throwing self-important fools like this into the dungeons for a few weeks. And when can we expect Princess Luna and Princess Twilight to return? The court is eagerly awaiting any news on our princesses. A thoughtless unicorn stallion asked, his voice oozing with the same type of false charm that Celestia has come to associate with most of the nobles of the current era. In other words, you're fishing for more information for your masters, you slimy little brat. Celestia gave a good impression of deep thought as the Soul Princess weighed how much truth she could safely reveal to make the story believable. Well, I would estimate her powers will stabilize within a few weeks. Luna will keep Twilight safe during her training. Other than that, I will not say. Too many ponies have been too interested in telling tall tales for their own gang recently, Celestia said, giving a pointed look to one of the courtiers whom her guard captains have identified as a known sellout to the gossip magazines. The Git thing had the decency to look guilty. Perhaps the ponies forget that when Twilight's powers stabilize, she will be an official member of the Royal House of Equestria, immortal and with all the rights and privileges such a title grants. I am certain that she will be kind-hearted enough to overlook most of the terrible actions that taken against her these past few weeks. But I'm sure she will not soon forget the ponies responsible anytime soon. Smirking inwardly, the Solo Princess noted those smiles twitch or spar slightly, and whose eyes widened panic or narrowed in anger. Yes, I'm wondering how long it will take you all to realize you're about to make an enemy of an immortal princess with enough magical power to rival stars were builded in the primest youth. Now, if there's nothing else, I must go and over some notes my sister and co-ruler had left for my Bazul. Excuse me, gentle ponies. Sister decided that after weeks of chasing down Hydra spawn in the infernal evergreen forest, twisting the knife a few inches more was well and truthfully justified, as the winces of several of the courtiers' face attested. As the courtiers retreated, no doubt to report to the fairest noble factions faring for her favor, Sister softly sighed, and wished once again that she never given in to the royal consort's wishes to embalm children. Her children had been a delight, a welcome distraction that helped the immortal healing that she needed after the events that sent Luna, infested with the nightmare spirit, to the moon for 1,000 years. But their descendants were nothing more than nuisance and pests, clinging to her like parasites and sapping her will attention while ponies of all breeds suffered in the outlying regions. There are those that blame my sister for the recent outbreaks of violence and chaos, Celestia mused as she walked down with a regal grace back to her quarters, doing her best to keep the princess mask in place as servants, guards, and quarters crossed her path. What would that they knew that if Luna had not been possessed, if Sombra had not become obsessed with power and control, if Imago had not turned to blood magic to keep her to sustain her youth and beauty, if Starwoods had not grown into an ultra and bitter mule of archmates, I would not be so stretched thin. Finally, Sister tired. Finally, Sister's tired, bitter musings ended as she arrived at her private quarters. The royal guards standing at attention giving her the stiff salutes before opening the doors for her. These rooms were supposed to be impregnable. 3-foot thick walls of magically hardened marble, with a 5-inch layer of emerite behind that, and then another foot of the same marble stone, all imbued with over 900 years worth of warding rooms and magical defenses that feed off one of the largest, most powerful ley lines in all Equestria, all of which apparently affected as a barrier, as a wet tissue against the occupant who sat on her desk, sipping glass away from a improbably solid core of chocolate milk. Oh goody, it's definitely going to be one of those days, Celestia groaned, shutting the doors firmly behind her, adding a magical lock for safety. Oh, Celestia, my dear girl, you must so learn to lighten up. Discord sorted. The windows behind them opening of their own accord as the aspect of chaos threw the chocolate milk out the window. And 3, 2, 1, boom! Hello, Discord. I'll offer you something to drink, but Celestia began, only to have Discord chuckle and sidle seamlessly across her desk. Well, we both know what will happen. We both know that would end up just like last time. Flying cups of raspberry tea chasing the guards around the castle. And muffins and slices cake fighting to see who will be eaten first. The chimeric creature replied gleefully as he suddenly disappeared in a flash of light, only to reappear, small enough to hide in a teacup on Celestia's head. As enjoyable a favorite food I will be as enjoyable as a favorite food fight would be. I suspect my little Miss Grumpy Who's have enough on her plate. While exploring the magic of friendship in Manhattan, I felt something rather bizarre, even by my standards. Sighing, Celestia walked to her desk. Discord found wrapping his body around her horn, stretching impartially long, as to be able to rest his head on the very tip of her horn. He's just trying to get a rise out of bad thought. Celestia groaned internally as her body started to react to the firm, warm body that wrapped itself around the scented, blood-rich velvet of her horn. It's Discord. He doesn't even think about what he's doing. He just does it. Just ignore it and carry on. I can guess what you're referring to, but why don't you come out and just say it? The Solar Princess muttered as she sank gracefully into the lower seat behind her desk and began rummaging through the drawers for the enchanted bell that would, when shaken, animate its twin in the royal kitchens and signaled the ponies there that their princess required food. And be direct, straight to the point. Oh, Celestia, my dear girl, you wound this old serpent's heart. Discord chuckled and licked her horn. It was only due to centuries of control that Celestia's wings did not immediately poofed out at this attack. Yes, he had hit just the right spot. Attack Celestia had never expected to endure from Discord of all creatures. Oh, dear Celestia, you know me far better than that. A chaotic surge of magic emanating from from Canterlight itself is one of the most boring places in this world, and one that tastes like the moon isn't a magic. Oh ho ho! The miniature Discord laughed, spinning in place around Celestia's horn. The Solar Princess grated her teeth at this attack on her person that sent tingles from her horn all the way to the base of her tail, her wings trembling with the urge to spread out in a natural response to such stimulation. Oh, just be calm, just let it go. At least she's not turning the heads going into truffles this time. Greenacre swore he would quit if that happened again, Celestia told herself, even as the velvet skin of her horn tingled and throbbed under the many contrasting features of Discord's tiny body. If I don't respond to his little game, he will become bored and do something else. No, my lovely solar. No, my lovely solar sourpuss. I want you to realize just what's happening on your own. Well, it's the fun. But don't despair. Should matters get out of hoof or claw or talon, I'll be sure to lend a appendage or three. Discord promised, squeezing himself tighter around Celestia's horn to the point where she could not resist and gave a low groan before agonizing, teleporting himself away at just the wrong moment, leaving Celestia shaking with embarrassment and the agony of denial. I did make a promise to stop doing evil things, but that doesn't mean I'll stop having fun. Discord, I thought we had discussed bad touches after the incident with Ponyville's school teacher and the self-propelled zucchinis. The solo princess grained, willing herself to physical calmness through force of effort. Please do not do that again. Oh, come on, silly. What's the fun of that? Still crackling, the aspect of chaos reappeared at full size, fly himself into a two-dimensional form and mingle under the door that led to her bedroom. Discord, no! Celestia shouted, bolting her desk awkwardly as she ran after Discord. He could not be in there. There were things in that room hidden behind magical illusions that even her personal maid ponies had never uncovered. Journals on problematic novels, correspondence with Twilight Sparkle, half-completed magical experiments, her personal tours, her diaries, and Discord was in there, alone and unchaperoned, for at least 5 seconds, which was exactly 5 minutes too long for the whimsical aspect chaos to not get himself into trouble in. Oh my, look at these. Oh my. So Discord's voice rang out in Celestia's ears as she all but flew into the room, panic filling her as she saw Discord whipping around the room, eagerly putting claw and talon on everything. Literally everything. The whimsical chimera had manifested dozens of disembodied appendages that were flipping through her journals, poking at her private experiments. But thankfully, he did not seem to have found anything truly incriminating. "Oh dear, Sally, you've been holding out on me. A complete set of griffin. Oh, is that dragons? Oh my. Well, could someone like you possibly get T-Rex autograph?" Discord, stop that, please. This isn't funny anymore, Celestia pleaded, trying unsuccessfully to dispel unsuccessfully trying unsuccessfully to dispel Discord's phantom limbs that was rummaging through her belongings. "But Sally, look at all this. Why, I don't even think that the dragons can boast a hoard quite like this." Still chortling, the aspect of chaos looped his way through the air before sliding underneath her bed, going absolute silence mid-sentence. "Oh no, not there, not that. Is this what I think it is?" Sounding rather shocked, Discord's head appeared from the other side of the bed, his neck stretching unnaturally as chimeric aspects. Large yellow eyes focused on a impressively massive piece of molded plastic that had just become large in the fork of his antler-like horn. "Not my Italian Stalin 9000. Discord, I said the fume, turning bright pink in embarrassment. The toy was long as her foreleg, and half again as thick. She was torn between dying in embarrassment and choking the life out of Discord to keep it a secret. "Well, it seems time for me to be going." Discord coughed awkwardly, plucking the giant vibrator out of his horn and gingerly leaving it down on the bed for teleporting, only to reappear on the other side of the bed, looking utterly confused. "What in the... Oh, that's not right. Say, why are you... Oh dear. That's not good." Still blushing from the base of her horn down to the barrel of her chest, Celestia quivered before Discord with embarrassment and rage, her eyes burning with golden light, her hair rippling and changing on their own accord, the tricolored mane and tail slowly turning a deep, dusky pink color. The torture of being brought to the brink of climax and then being denied by Discord earlier, combined with centuries of enforced absence from any form of sexual intent. From any form of sexual intimacy with another, and then to have a socially damning secret exposed by the very same chaotic aspect of it turned in Celestia, feeding off her stress and frustrations, and she channeled this frenzy into a spell of negation that wrapped itself around the room, and then Discord. "Discord! We are going to have a very long, hard talk about personal spaces." Celestia grounded out the words as he stalked towards Discord, who attempted to back away and turn, but only succeeding tripping over his tail and landing on his back on the bed. Now just wait a minute, Sally. This isn't. Where are you? That's not how a princess is supposed to be. Wait. Celestia, Discord babbled, scrabbling on his back, as Celestia stalked after him onto the bed before dripping her body down and pinning the chaos aspect beneath her. No more waiting, no more Nice, princess. This time, discord, you're going to learn the true consequences of your actions, Celestia raised as her magic gripped the doors to her bedroom and slammed them shut with a sound like thunder. Hmm? Rarity blinked in surprise as Fluttershy side jumped to her hooves. Darling, whatever, whatever is the matter? I, I don't know. The girl Pegasus replied softly, looking around the steamy confines of the sauna in confusion. I felt a hoarse voice crying out in terror. Then they were silent, and now I smell vanilla. Oh, it's probably just imagination, dear. Now sit back down and let the steam do its work. It was a pleasant experience to teach Luna something so mundane as gathering edible plants from the everfree forest. Humming tunelessly, Twilight parted the thick grasses with her hooves, then used her magic to gently remove one of the plants she was looking at for from a cluster of its kind, a small fleshy green root attached to a thin stalk bearing olive yellow rounded leaves, and a root that looked like something that like the result of a messy drunken one night stand between a turnip and a squash. Twilight, are you sure we only to take one? Twilight, are you sure we all only take just one? Called out from her position a few meters away. The Luna Princess, eager to help find food to help their supplies left along until this mysterious ally could show up. Yes, the card told me that the yam jams can only survive if left in large groups, and that's why we only take one from each clump. Twilight hollered back, using a fraction of her magic to dust the root-like plant and place it in her saddlebags. Strangely, here in the Everfree Forest, her magic was returning fast, although not nearly to the level she had once possessed, and Luna's harsh caution about overextending her magic, possibly crippling herself in the process, hung over Twilight's mind like a shroud. I could have died. I could have ended up as a mortal cripple because shaken as the image of a self-mutilated and crippled future Twilight flashed through her mind. The young Alicorn attempted to think of brighter, happier things. Learning new magic with Princess Celestia and Luna, flying with her new wings, the party she was sure Pinkie would throw when she finally got back to Thornville, waking up in Luna's embrace. Where did that come from? Twilight thought and sought, glad to have some distance between herself and Luna, as she felt her face flush with embarrassment, and, conveniently enough, lust, as remember key moments from the past few days. Luna twitching and writhing beneath me as our magics twined, waking up with my muzzle in her mane, feeling perfectly warm and safe, to feel her faint underneath my wings. Was she what Rainbow Dash called it, a closet case? It wasn't as if Twilight didn't have any interest in stallions. It's just that all the ones she knew either obsessed with hoofball or they only wanted to know her when she was in interest, or they were somebody she liked but already taken. There was Big Mac, but I know Sympathy was crushing on him hard, and he was Applejack's brother. Would have ruined our friendships. Twilight sighed heavily and moved on, seeking for something other than yam jams. Sweet and delicious as they might be, but Twilight wanted something meatier. Wait, meatier? Is that even a word? Why do we have that word? We're herbivores, for crying out loud. What will make me use that term to describe food? Despite her mind filtering from one topic to another to grasp distract itself from more troubling thoughts, Twilight was able to make good progress finding edible fruits and mushrooms, calling Luna over to show the Luna Princess the correct way to harvest something, or have to tell a safe mushroom from a poisonous one. Within a surprisingly short time, their saddlebags were stuffed with food. Yeah, gems, I must say, Twilight, I never heard of such a plant. Luna remarked as the two drained acorns plodded back to their camp. Well, they aren't really cultivated by ponies because they tend to take a lot out of the soil. But sequoia plants bulbs all the every forest because they were a staple food in her homeland, and the earth around here is rich from all the leaf litter and such. Twilight explained, levitating one of the yams out of her saddlebags to display it to Luna. First, we need to cut the leaves off, poke a few holes in the yams, and let the juice inside drain out onto a saucepan. Then we need to add some boiling water to that and stir it, and then leave it aside to cool, and we'll have jam. And the yam itself, is that edible? The princess asked, using her own magic to take a hold of the yam. Both acorns fitting slightly as their magic mingled around the yam before Twilight withdrew her magic, complicating the glow dissipating slowly. You're like, I'm not the only one who's still thinking about that night, Twilight thought, more than a bit flustered before coughing and trying to keep the conversation going. Oh yes, once it's drained, it's edible. If we try to eat the jam yams raw, they while they still had their juices inside, well, let's just say we'll pay for it the next day. They're too rich, too sweet to eat raw. Once drained, we chop up the yam and cook them in like sweet potatoes. We might actually be better better. We might actually be better served frying them with the sweet water crepes and the mushrooms we found. Planning that would be the best way to bring out the most foods out of their haul. Wringing the most foods out of their hauls. Twilight became so focused on the task ahead she forgot what she was doing right now. It began to drift until her musing ended with a shock. Twilight jolted back to reality when she heard Luna's shocked cry. She realized she almost walked off a ledge. The swirling murky waters of the Everfreeze River bubbled and churned a good 20 meters below her hooves, and Celestia, in the Rorgo's recent encounters with hydras, came rushing back to her mind. Oh, pony feathers! Shaking and feel, Twilight inched back from the edge a few steps before Luna grabbed her from behind and dragged the younger acorn to the dubious safety of the forest. Are you okay? What you were thinking? 1 minute you were right next to me, and the next you were trying to walk off a cliff. Luna snapped as she held the trembling Twilight against her, furious at herself for not paying more attention and horrified at what just nearly happened. I was just thinking how we could prepare dinner. I wasn't watching well. Oh, Celestia, I could have, shaking with the after effects of her shock. Twilight hugged Luna back and gave a choked sob. For several minutes, they remained like that, hidden underneath the shadows of the forest as Twilight slowly calmed down. For once, there was no awkwardness untangling themselves from the embrace, or when Luna wrapped her wing around Twilight's shoulders as they plodded back to camp. The reality of the situation had finally started sinking. We can't full of hostile nobles and scheming news ponies who were slandering them both for a single week of good ratings. They had nobody They had nobody they could rely on but each other now. Even their loyal friends in Ponyville held the potential to let slip the secret and ruin both princes in the eyes of the ponies. Lunch, or was it brunch, was quiet, broken only by occasional murmur comment from one acorn or another, and the soft sounds of their eating. I never thought yams cooked over a campfire would taste so good, Luna said softly, smiling as she nibbled at the last piece of roasted yam between her hooves. It was almost like eating sweet potato, but tangier. Twilight didn't respond for several moments, and Luna drew breath, trying to rekindle the conversation when the purple alcorn shook herself and replied, "Well, up until a few months ago, I didn't know either. After Trixie returned with the acorn element and took over Ponyville, Sakura helped me train on when to use magic and when to use my wits, and she showed me how to propel them." Wiping her hooves on the rock she was seated upon, Twilight sighed and straightened her back and gave Luna a warm smile. "There's so much about the Everfree Forest that ponies don't want to know about because it's not controlled. Every time I come here, I find something new, or rather something old that my books had labeled as myth or lost for all time." Twilight, the eternal bookworm, enjoys mucking about in the Everfree Forest, such as Luna, as in mock horror, raising her hoof to her mouth in an exaggerated fashion, causing Twilight to snicker and shake her head in denial. "Not quite. I just love how I can come out here and I can find a flower that nobody has ever seen, or an animal without long instinct. It made me think of how limited our knowledge of the world outside the Crescent's borders really is." Twilight rambled, explaining how she found medical herbs to transplant to Ponyville, but had been thwarted by Applejack's vulnerable and stubborn grandmother, Granny Smith, who had declared the plants were weeds that the Apple family had been driving back ever since they moved to Ponyville, and promptly drowned the herbs in enough poison to make an ink sick. However, Twilight had gone back and recovered another sample and brought it back secretly, cultivating it slowly and painfully in the planter on her windowsill before having enough to send samples to Camelot in Manhattan to more London researchers. "Wait a minute, Twilight. Are you telling me you're the pony that rediscovered Mother's touch?" Luna asked softly when Twilight stopped to draw a breath. "That's a herb that has very special meaning to Celestia and myself. Sadly, when Celestia was being founded, several more petty rivals for the throne decided that if they could not stop our assertion, they would steal all our joy from the processions. They, amongst other things, burned down our private gardens to ashes, plants that had existed nowhere else in the land by that time, herbs and medical flowers we had used to treat injured ponies and other races." Twilight nodded slowly, her eyes very wide, as Luna leaned back and took a deep, sizzling breath. "I see. Maybe some of the seeds escaped the blaze, or maybe they thought to steal the herbs for themselves and lost them to fate." Luna muttered, her eyes half closed as she thought back to the gardens, a place where Celestia and herself had demanded absolute privacy, a place they could go and talk, and fight in the way many sisters do, without squabbling about the nobility of the three pony tribes, trying to drive wedges between them or usurp the Alcorn's power for themselves. Luna? Twilight's voice sounded very soft, but very close. When Luna opened her eyes, she saw Twilight had come around from the campfire to sit at Luna's side, very nervous and looking very nervous and timid. Did I do the right thing? If it really was important to you and Celestia, maybe I should have sent them directly to the castle. For a minute, Luna was silent, trying to find the words to speak to correctly convey her thoughts. No, you did the right thing, Twilight. For far too long, the mother's touch had been lost. It's too far vital a miracle to be left in every force because any bitterness on the part of Celestia or myself about enemies long since dead and forgotten by the very ponies decided to rule. The Lunar Princess shook herself as if cold, and gave a warm smile of her own to Twilight. It's probably not much compared to the medicine of today, but perhaps pony of this era might extract whatever healing elements reside within the herb to make newer, more potent medicines. Well, I do know quite a few ponies would delight to serve this. I do know there were quite a few ponies that would delight to see the samples I sent them. Several of them are involved in a plan to catalog all the known medical plants and herbs their predecessors long since passed written when Mother's touch were off as a myth. Twilight pointed out, trying to make Luna smile again. I'm sure they would love to speak to you about what the herb was used back in your era. Oh my. Does that sound rude, doesn't it? Yet Luna just laughed. Not really, Twilight. You find as you grow into your powers and status as an alicorn that age and era had different meanings to you than a normal pony. The princess explained, an honest smile on her face now. I may have spent 1,000 years on the moon, but I am still in my era, although I will admit some of today's customs are a little bold by my standards. Oh? Twilight asked, leaning forwards eagerly, while she considered Luna a good friend, learning more about what this shy, socially awkward princess thought could be only help deepen their friendship. Back before my embarrassment, there was no gender imbalance, and the same gender relationships that Equestria sees today were considered a very, very simple thing. Coffee and tanning slightly darker under her fur, Luna kept her eyes focused on the dwindling campfire, poking the burning pieces of wood with a prod of magic, and the whole matter of nobility. I cannot understand why Celestia let them grow so arrogant and dismisses the other ponies. And then it was going to be a long rant, it seemed, but Twilight smiled and kept her ears open, absorbing it all. She was a good friend, after all, and friends listen to each other, no matter what. I apologize for the delay, my little ponies. A matter of state came up, and I had to deal with it immediately, such as being down at the quarters and subsequence of the afternoon court from her throne, her mane flowing lustrously, and waving with a life of its own, her features almost serene and joyous. Many attributed it acceptably to Celestia being back among her beloved subjects. A few wondered if perhaps the Solar Princess were reveling in being the only princess in Canterlot once again. A handful wondered if they should mention it, if the self-moving mane or not. Celestia's hair looked like it had been ruffled fiercely, then hurriedly brushed. I knew that, Celestia thought to herself, smirking in her mind's eye as she thought back to the encounter with Discord in her private chambers. It had been far too long since he had indulged her feminine side. Discord had been fulfilling, if panic consort. Or Buckyar, he had been tolerable at best, and she had to tie him down to the bed to stop him from trying to escape the first time. But Celestia had centuries worth of repression to deal with, and it all been his fault after all. And if the ponies noticed the subtle amount of makeup Celestia used was smudged slightly, or her gown and royal garments sat a little crooked, or why her chambers were still surrounded by an anti-magic field strong enough to keep herself out, they thankfully did not ask why. I think I'll cancel night court tonight. I still got a fair bit of stress to deal with, and it's so cute to see Discord squeal like that. There he is again, there he is again, Twilight squeaked, jumping to her hooves and starring the other ponies at the food court, making Rarity sigh and delicately faithful once more. Darling, I just don't know what's going on, but I assure you nobody else is hearing it. The white coated unicorn snapped, going shrill with frustration. Nobody else can hear this voice you speak of. Are you sure you haven't run into a Pat Supports and joke again? Not that I can remember. Oh, I wish Twilight was here. She'll know what was going on.